team that can poke a little bit here, and there's another one that will as well, the Orianna Sona grab.
This is really, really strong. So now they've got actually very similar to Lulu when you grab Orianna, is you've got, you can put the ball on a teammate and then really set yourself up for some really big successes. You know, if Maokai jumps on, she puts the ball on, tosses on Shockwave, puts on Dissonance afterwards. You just put a lot of crowd control on the enemy team. You know, basically Maokai becomes a vessel for that ball to come out and land more crowd controls. They've got a lot of disruption on this Najin Sword lineup. If someone initiates on, they can keep locking up CLG's lineup and keep picking up kills. They've got crowd control in so many places. Ezreal starts out strong and doesn't fall off. They've got a lot of power overall in this group.
Looks like Yellow P is on Tristana, has not locked in yet. We do, however, have that Karthus locked, and they're really looking for a safe pick for the AD carry.
This is basically CLG.EU saying we want to pick 2 late-game champions, but we want to pick somewhat safe late-game champions. Now, no matter who he's against, Froggen really just always does well on Karthus. It doesn't really matter so much. He just always does phenomenally, so he's going to grab that Karthus over and over and over again. There's almost never a reason for him to pick a different champion. He just loves it. It works so well with his team's composition. The Tristana pick is basically just a sideways version of Kog'Maw, where long-range, hyperscaling in a late game does a whole crap ton of damage. But the difference is, instead of having quite as much damage as Cog, is instead super safe. Has that rocket jump to get out of bad battles, has that Buster Shot ultimate to disengage the opposition, and when you realize that you're against an Orianna with a Maokai, you might want to pick something a bit safer and instead go for that pickup on that Tristana. So a full late game lineup is here for CLG.EU. They've got a great, very disruptive front line and a hugely deadly back line in the end.
I really like this. Macnoon going on to Nidalee to verse Wicked's Malphite.
So this is very, very interesting. Macnoon going for that Nidalee, wants to play a heavy assassin role, which...
Very somewhat. Yeah, that works out well, right?
No,
very somewhat. I'm going to keep going.
Nice.
Squishy, but really no team. You're going to see turret dives coming from Najin Sword. This team does not look like they can play aggressive under turrets. A lot of them are squishy compared to the Malphite Shyvana and Lulu coming in with shield as well. So we'll have to see what they can do.
It just works out. They've got enough elements that of champions that can just kind of make those turret dives just barely work. So Maokai can disengage from a turret with Twisted Advance. It'll drop him off that turret aggro list, and the turret will switch to someone else. They've got heals and shields coming out from Song and from Macnoon. They've got a pretty decent chance of this, of opening up a turret dive and following through with the various supports around the map. If you look at the bottom lane, again, you've got Kayn on Sona. When she heals a teammate, gives an extra armor and magic resist boost as well. So in any lane, if someone dives, there's someone there to grant armor or health or a shield and keep that person on that dive. So they've got just the elements they need, just barely. It's not one of those primary tanks like an Alistar who hits level 6 and laughs at all damage forever, but they've got what they need to actually make those dives happen. The scary thing, though, still, is that they're trying to dive champions who are very, very safe. Trying to dive Lulu Tristana is going to be super hard, especially Tristana with Cleanse.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. She can already jump away, then cleanse that out. It's going to be very safe. I don't think we've said enough, so one more time was perfect. 1:30 into this one, no invades coming from either side here. We do see that Maokai starting at his regular wraiths, and it's just going to be Malphite down with Karthus. They're going to go ahead and grab that. We've seen a lot of teams doing this now. If it's not going to be a jungler that specifically needs that blue, they just go ahead and give that whole lane to that top side.
And it's a really good way to just share resources amongst your team and make sure that you're kind of capitalizing on everything. So Yellow P and Crapple right now finishing the double golems, pulling actually the Lizard to give Snoopy a nice easy start on this red, and they'll still be able to walk in a lane in time to not really sacrifice much experience overall. On the flip side, Macnoon not doing much but dropping traps around the map and trying to keep himself safe. So there's a bit of an advantage here for CLG.EU right off the bat. They've got just a little bit more golden experience to share amongst their team.
And that blue buff now going to Wicked as he makes his, actually going to middle, I should say, as he makes his way top lane. So he's going to be actually quite hurt coming to this one, but Macnoon has expended his mana, so he won't be able to harass as much as he would like. Wicked trying to get that passive to come back up before he moves up to that Macnoon. I believe it was actually on. The shield's quite low at level 1. There it is, broken, and the harassment already starting from Macnoon. Invasion here by Snoopy in the jungle. He finds Watch, and going into the bush, he wouldn't allow him to take the red. He is going to push the flash out, and that is a lot of aggression taken away from Najin Sword from the jungle.
The difficult thing, though, is Snoopy to have his up. He's actually pulled Froggen to kind of fence out and zone away Song, so no one's really here to stop this. Wicked takes a bit of punishment, but ultimately with no one around to stop Snoopy, his teammates doing a great job of calling out who's around, who's moving, and who's not. despite having no smite and being in the enemy jungle, Snoopy is ultimately safe here. He will steal this red away. That is a very big boost to his team.
And that was huge. If somebody were to walk by that, they would have seen that the spawn camp emblem had not died. So you can still figure out that he's taking it. Now that it's down, we're going to be moving off of that. And like you said, Freak, refreshing that red buff and really slowing down that Maokai jungle. He was able to get his blue so he can continue with that speed, but the presence in lane just won't be as strong. 3 minutes and 30 seconds in, we are going to follow if Europe continues to counter gank these objectives.
This is really going to be the core strategy here for Counterlogic Gaming Europe. They know without a shadow of a doubt that their late game is ridiculously strong as long as they keep the early game from snowballing out of control. Well, right now they're keeping the early game very, very tight. They're down a couple hundred gold just from minion farm, but in general, they're stopping all the possible aggression opportunities. By denying a red buff, you really deny a lot of that gank power that might come out from Maokai. That early slowing from that lizard buff is very, very powerful. It really helps you pick up kills here. So they're just removing options from the table. Snoopy constantly clearing, leveling up as fast as he can, and he just wants to be present and there to counter gank if something goes wrong.
This is really great harassment by Kane. Usually it's onto the AD carry, but they're just hitting Crepo so hard, forcing him to use all those potions. He's not going to be able to help Yellow Pete in a fight. So what they're doing right now is setting him up almost for the kill, having to flash away from that one. The aggression so strong from that Sona Ezreal poke bottom. But we do see Snoopy coming in, trying to push that lane back and say, not going to go down without a fight in this lane. I am helping each one.
This bottom lane is Kane being a complete boss. He is constantly harassing the opposition. He had a ward down aggressively and flash in from there's the exhaust.
And shield by Crepo, but he goes in the ignite. Mystic shot for first blood going to Prey.
That was amazing. And Yellow Pete was a little bit greedy there. He refused to cleanse the ignite that was put down. That little bit of damage, I think, helped tick him down because there's only one bit of damage left, and that was that one Mystic Shot. And I'm pretty sure it was he did hit it to level 2 Mystic Shot at this point, but even still, I think he would have been just tanky enough to survive it if you just cleansed that away and said, I don't want to take that damage. But either way, a beautifully timed aggress right there. Najin's sword opening up strong. That is exactly what they need to do. But again, they're on a clock here. They've got to keep it moving because when you hit 40 minutes, it's all going to turn around if they don't end it.
Wicked getting so aggressed on right now, but he's kind of hanging out because he knows MacNoon does not have much mana. He's not going to be able to heal, and he's not level 6 yet, so he can't be in and out on an attack if he needs to. Wicked still playing quite strong here. Like he said before, two of the best top laners in the world going at it. It's no big deal. We do see Snoopy coming up top through the ward. MacNoon heading back to his tower, but he actually, I like that strat. He made it look like he was heading back, seeing the ward, moves back in, but he sees Snoopy again. So he's only trying to play the mind game here, not the visual game.
Yeah, he is absolutely wasting a lot of Snoopy's time. Snoopy will eventually come back in. Wicked, though, still is going to have enough mana for one more Seismic Shard if he does finally come back in. MacNoon with great ward coverage keeps that one away. Snoopy putting an aggressive ward there by the Wraith Camp, and now he's sneaking around through the jungle. MacNoon will not see this come in.
This is the perfect thing he needs to do here. The turret will give him vision right now, and MacNoon is still not level 6. His speed is slowed there by Wicked. The flash is out, the exhaust goes down with the ignite, and MacNoon will surely fall to Wicked. One for the top lane.
Excellent gank overall. That is them all using their summoner spells, and that is why you bring exhaust on Shyvana. She's normally not the best ganker without any innate crowd control, but she's so fast, durable, and just safe overall that you're allowed to bring an offensive summoner, no flash at all on that champion, and still make those ganks happen without dying in return.
So he does have teleport. He's getting back to lane quite quickly. He's not going to lose too much experience off of that. But now as they go back, that's 2 Dorans going in the hands of MacNoon, and the AP build starting out from Wicked. It looks like they're going to use this ultimate now that he has 6 to start something bottom.
This is going to be very, very scary overall. MacNoon putting on some aggression. He used his summoner teleport here, MacNoon, so he's not going to be able to really roam around the map. I actually don't like that very much. As soon as Needly hits 6, she gets a giant spike in power, and with that bottom lane only being 5 and 4, that's actually a very huge relative power jump. So, she really would be able to bully out these champions and make dives happen, but that's not going to be the case here. She's actually going to stay isolated in the top lane for a while and hope that Wicked won't leave either.
They did see Malphite coming around there. There's that vision ward in the brush. They're going to stay back here. It looks like they are making for the counter gank. Prey actually fires one off. They know that this fight will not go well with Unstoppable Force, so he gives away that they have a ward there. He didn't even want to deal with that situation. Sometimes you want to bait it out, Freak, but that was smart play there with the amount of strength they had.
Yeah, even though they had Watch waiting around on the wings, it was still a level disadvantage. If Kane were 6, they'd say, sure, go for it.
Oh, and as soon as he leaves, they are going to get the kill down, and they just play the momentum of that bottom lane.
Hitting level 6 first is always a huge deal. That is exactly what happened there. They said, okay, Prey, you've got True Shot Barrage, go. No matter what happens, the root will last long enough, and we're going to get that kill onto Krepo. If Krepo were 6, he might have withstanded that damage, but that's what happens. One early advantage means you've got a half-level window to jump when you've got ults, and they don't, and they played that one perfectly.
MacNoon throwing a ward down at the blue bush. They're trying to really get aggressive warding down here. Yellow Pete getting a little more range on his shots, and you can see he's harassing a little bit more with that as his passive makes that range longer and longer per level up. Snoopy down bottom as they're waiting. Krepo to get back to lane. The turret's very low here. They've prepped it to be taken down. The aggression from this lane is definitely to dive this turret after it's taken. And Yellow Pete has been staying there quite a bit. We saw Prey pushing him back past the turret as they were farming the minions there. And they have their own minion wave coming back up on this. So they should be safe for now. And we'll see Snoopy return to the jungle.
Yeah, ultimately, they can't aggress on Kayn. He's level 6. Sona has Crescendo and Exhaust up. There is no dive in the world that would work on these guys. As I say, they're going to die.
Crescendo goes out. The power cord killing Yellow Pete right away. They turn this one out. Keep trying. Krepo taking a lot of damage. The shield is on. Essence Flux. The caster minions could be the kill, but Prey finally gets the basic attack.
And that is just an ill-fated dive right here. CLG, they know they had the numbers advantage, but they had no health. Kayn just simply sat there and was like, okay, Crescendo to the face, no problem, thanks for the burst damage, and just picked up the kill, and suddenly all the damage up that they were relying on was just gone. The exhaust came out again, and those cooldowns, those are so incredibly important as cooldowns. They were there, and they just turned that fight absolutely around. 2 kills for nothing. Najin's sword, not only are they making the aggressions right here, and then of course as they have matches where they go for the dragon, picking themselves up even farther ahead, but on top of that, they're just getting kills thrown at them as well. This is exactly what Najin's sword wants.
So that turret goes down, a little bit of a gold lead coming in, 3,000 there. Dragon goes down, and they make it 4,500 gold. It's going to be very big for Najin as they come into this game, trying to finishing some good items. Just the boots mobility for Cloud for Watch to get those ganks down for himself. Healing up off of his passive, continues to go around, but here comes Requiem. It may find him 2 kills, but no, Watch has just enough health, and we see MacNoon go down.
That was actually absolutely perfect play by Wicked, who actually kind of baited some aggression at the turret, and as soon as MacNoon pulled turret aggro, he immediately jumped the Unstoppable Force, bursted all of his cooldowns, including Ignite, and said, Froggen, pick up 300 gold, man. It was very, very good coordination overall, and really good reflexes, Wicked knowing that MacNoon just overextended, and he was going to be low enough to get killed.
CLG getting some pings down bottom saying, I think somebody's in this forward bush, and we can actually see Prey playing quite aggressively as well, going past that river, no wards as the jungler comes up above him, or support rather, in the jungle. They're going to be able to get those safe wards down, going towards Dragon, making sure it's all clear, but they're going to ward Tribush, and that gives them a lot of room here. Warding that Tribush allows them to see everything coming from the opponent's jungle, and not just down the river. Pings going down in mid, and they say they put a ward there, so be careful.
This is really just great ward coverage overall. If you want to check down the mini-map at the bottom right corner, these are the 2 major ward spots you care about when you're the red team. It's the ward by the Wraith camp over towards the middle of the map, and then that ward by the Tribrush. You cannot get into the river as blue team without running by one of those, and of course those are the other 2 major gank spots, going through Tribrush to lane sneak, or just kind of coming down the jungle. So they've completely shut off all of the aggression opportunities, with the exception, actually no, not even with the exception, because they've also warded their very bottom lane brush as well. So there was simply no way for Snoopy to sneak in and screw up their bottom lane. And what Najin's sword is doing, once they've killed that first turret, is they are now freezing the lane. They are refusing to push. They are letting these minions push out to their own turret. Again, they still have the ward coverage to deny any pushes.
A flash in from Froggen. He pulls Watch under the turret. He takes some unnecessary damage. Here comes Snoopy. Snoopy and Froggen get the kills assist. And it looks like Song will stay to fight. He has no mana left as he throws out auto attacks, but they find the kill onto Snoopy to trade the 1-for-1 retribution.
That is why he runs Summoner Teleport on a top laner. You're going to have so much gold and experience being stuck up there farming minions day and night that you will be a huge force to be reckoned with in a battle. Excellent play there, MacNoon turning that one around. But at the same time, look at just the damage output that came in from CLG.EU. Snoopy and Froggen working together, really picking up that kill onto Watch. That is painful. He had an Oracle, so another 400 gold down the drain. That's really not tracked in the scoreboard.
MacNoon completely healing that Q damage as soon as it came off. He didn't even see it hit his health bar. And he does have quite low mana here, taking a bit of damage there, puts himself in and out of bush. Not really going to help him too much, denies vision, gives him a little bit of speed, but he's really just going to push this lane up into Wicked's face and try to continue to break that passive as his, take some damage down after that. The red buff will also help. then he can really kite this lane. Like I said, out of mana, doesn't really have to use that in Cougar form, just has to wait for the cooldown. So he's not in a terrible position, but still, MacNoon playing up to his regular aggressiveness.
He is playing this lane as perfectly as possible. You look at the minion farm, it's 52 to 108, and he's got a Phage and a Lizard buff, meaning if he ever pulls an advantage, he can just completely shut down Wicked. Just watch him try to run away. That movement speed steal from Seismic Shard lets him run from that battle, but in general, he's going to have a horribly tough time fighting MacNoon here.
Yeah, it does look like he leveled that shard up already. Going for the ground slam and does not yet have anything into Brutal Strikes. Goes ahead and takes a chunk of MacNoon, and MacNoon says that's enough of that situation. I have 964 gold. Going to go back and finish an item for himself. And we'll see if that'll be boots. He may not need that just yet due to his passive, but he does finish those Merc Treads to cut away that, to give him tenacity, to cut away that crowd control that Malphite will be doing. Now top lane, as the bottom turret goes down, see them transfer up to the top three.
This is really very typical for a team that starts to play very aggressively. You normally see this kind of play when you lane swap to 2-on-1 lanes from the get-go. But either way, what you've got here is Najin Sword saying, look, we picked up one turret, and now we could build a total lane mismatch here by putting our AD carry and support up against just a 2 versus 1 against Malphite. They're going to go for a lot of turret pressure here. CLG must react to this or lose even more early game advantages.
Snoopy waiting in Baron Den, knowing that Kane is kind of in that push and he wants them to come down and ward. Little does he know he already warded. And I don't think Snoopy has caught that one in front of him with his Oracle just yet. They are setting up top. They know Crepo is with Wicked now, so they got to be thinking, besides seeing Triss bot, actually, where is Snoopy? Chilling out in Baron Den. We see Orianna going back once again to grab the Wraiths. More CS and minion kills. 165 now for Orianna to 182 of Froggen. That early blue buff top lane is going to be hit hard. Kane goes in. The crescendo stops them, but the wild growth comes out, popping up prey. He had enough time to just while out on that CC, and then they continue to go after the fight. A sliver of health for Snoopy, but Wicked is still quite tanky. They're going to hold off on this and run in with the minion wave. Middle lane going down. Froggen gets hit hard as MacNoon transfers from top to mid.
And that was just amazing reflexes overall. Actually, the fight might still be on. Watch taking a lot of punishment. Prey and Wicked now standing off in that lane. Snoopy with a really nice move. He knew that ward was actually in that river and simply ulted over that Baron wall, tried to flank on behind his opponents. The unstoppable force nearly catching Kane, but he had the reflexes to flash it away and not get harassed there. He managed to turn that fight around and make it safe. As you mentioned, MacNoon making the plays in mid lane. There's a second turret kill picked up for Najin Sword. They want to keep this pressure on. Again, they are on a clock, and the clock only has about 20 minutes left. They need to keep this game forward and really push to the point where even the late game scaling of Karthus can't keep this team alive. If you look at the farm, he's getting there. He's got 180 minions. He is still rich overall. He's containing most of his team's kills. Froggen is going to be the playmaker here for CLG.EU. Watch him. He's going to be the guy to make things turn around. That
super early Bloodthirster coming in for Ezreal. It was about 15 minutes actually when he had that. He already has about 30 stacks. He does have 30 stacks on it. You see there's about 80 gold right now in the hands of Yellow Pete, and he has that BF Sword and Scepter. So he's got a good 700-800 gold to go before he can get that. See now as they take down Dragon, that gold going to Najin, and that is just going to put them up 7,000 gold at 16 minutes.
They need to keep doing this over and over and over again. The Dragon kill's good. Mid-turret's got to be next. They need to keep pressing onto their opposition. There's not a lot of great wave clears here from CLG.EU. They can't really do much except for Froggen and a little bit from Crepo, but Crepo's not going to be doing all that much damage to him either. It's going to take some time for them to really crush down that minion wave. And meanwhile, Najin Sword, they've got 2 healers, they've got a lot of long-range damage output. They're putting kind of all their tanky cards on Watch and hoping he can scale through this game. And that's actually one small deficit here for Najin Sword. Watch now with Boots mobility, his second oracles as well, only 2 assists and kind of low minion farm. Watch is going to be very, very frail throughout this game.
The jump on from Tristana, the buster shot, or rather explosive shot, goes down to try and mitigate any of that healing MacNoon can do to himself. They continue to poke down onto this turret. MacNoon using that poke ability of Nidalee to get back and trade damage in his favor. Looks like he will be returning to base as well with 1,700 gold in his pocket. Going to get some good items for him, and he'll definitely feel good in that solo lane by himself, picking up the Sheen and starting the Zeal to his Triforce.
Now, Counterlogic Gaming Europe making a good move, pushing for that bottom turret, but the teleport from MacNoon is going to stop them. They all run away afraid. They actually had a ward, seeing that Song was running down as well. They did not want to put themselves into a bad fight situation. Really what CLG wants to do is buy time by starting a turret push and then saying, oh, okay, you're showing up, cool, we'll leave. They just bought another few seconds on the map. And if they keep making moves like this, forcing Najin and Sword to run around and react to them over and over, they're going to keep buying that time and keep building themselves great advantages. The difficulty here is it looks like Sword knows about this golem. They actually do have it warded. They're going to make the play here.
You know, Freak, I'd say at some point it's going to be very scary for CLG.EU to fall this behind. Froggen gets almost wiped out instantly. It only took a few spells. Kane follows right behind him in the 1-for-1. The focus is on Snoopy, and all the Najin health bars are still halfway full as Wicked drains down to nothing. Double kill coming in for Prey. MacNoon following from the backside as we have a slow coming from Crepo. And will they follow over the wall? They do. MacNoon in super aggression mode, trying to find that way out, but he cannot do it. Crepo goes down, and it's going to be YellowPea left alive bottom. 10-4 in 19 minutes.
And it looks like it's now daylight savings time for Najin Sword. They've just added more time to that clock because when you realize that Tristana is super awesome late game, but only has a BF sword, look at Ezreal. Look at those 6 kills on Prey. He is going to be doing so much damage here that there's not an easy option here. You're just watching these team fights turn around so very quickly. So much crowd control from Najin Sword. They didn't even have to use Crescendo. That's still up for Kane. He was like, yeah, triple kill, no problem. No ult needed. We'll just keep fighting you one at a time. And really, that kind of happened there. CLG.EU kind of limped in one at a time, and they're just continually putting on the pressure. They finally picked up that middle turret. That is 3 turrets for them. The Dragon coming up before too terribly long as well. They're going to keep that underway. The Dragon 22:30. It's still a 3-minute timer to go for that to be back up. And you know, they're going to keep pushing onto this, but now it becomes a little bit more difficult for Najin Sword. Again, they're getting very far and they're getting very far ahead, but it's going to be harder and harder for them to force fights. These turrets are now harder to reach. The impact of a single dragon starts to mean less and less as these teams get more gold. The pressure is still on them to make some moves.
So, Freak, we see the importance of farming. 225 minions in mid for Karthus, 221 for Orianna. Obviously, these minions don't just spawn in lane. Where are they getting all of this?
They're running into their jungles and sharing the resources with their teammates. They're running in there and saying, hey, you know, this camp, and it's typically the Wraith camp. That's usually the most frequent one there, is they just run off to that side and pick them out and pick up a bunch of gold. Now, those Wraiths aren't worth as much gold individually as lane minions, so you have deceptively large numbers of minion kills that aren't really worth the same amount of gold each, but it still builds them these really good advantages. They're still getting a lot of gold every time. It's about 60 gold every time you clear that camp out. It's a nice chunk of money. Some even go for the Wraith camps as well and keep clearing more things out.
You see bottom lane going quite aggressive on YellowPea. The cleanse is used and he pretty much avoids everything there. And we can just see Najin hightail it out of there saying, wow, we just blew a lot of cooldowns and we're being closed in on. But this could be bad. EU has been on their heels in every fight as Najin turns it around seamlessly within a bush, within the open. And it looks like CLG knows this. They turn around and say that was not our engagement. But look at the split push coming now from Najin. They just leave Prey top, and that is going to be a huge split pusher. Ezreal can get that attack speed up as he hits his abilities and really crush down turrets.
That was a really risky move because they had what was a 4v5 at the bottom half of the map. If CLG.EU was able to catch them, they could have turned around a 4-for-0 trade right here. Froggen in a duel with Prey, doing so much damage back to him. Can he pick this up?
Oh, he gets the heal. That may be very helpful for him. Wicked is there, however. They put Karthus on the other side as the flash went down. A lot of damage going towards Wicked. He unstoppable forces out of the fight and gets Crescendo to go down. After using his ultimate, the focus on Crepo will for sure be a tower dive. And another double kill coming in for Prey. Najin sword support. Kane picking up a kill as well.
Now up 12,000 gold. They're going to make a move for Baron. They feel strong enough that they've got what it takes to kill off this epic monster here before 22 minutes. CLG.EU, Snoopy could attempt for a steal, but he's back in the base right now. And with Ezreal so farmed, I don't know if they quite have the damage out, but Orianna is also great at DPSing single targets. Looks like it's not even going to be an attempt by CLG.EU. This will be a free Baron pickup for Najin Sword. They have made all the right moves this game.
Freak, I believe that's the second fastest Baron we've seen in the tournament here. 22 minutes in. They have great items under their belt and almost finished Triforce, which just got finished due to that gold coming from Baron. 8-0-3 on Prey this matchup. So well chunked down, just missing that. Top lane, Snoopy grabbing up these minions, just continuously pushing out. Everything is on their side of the map except for bottom lane right now. And since that Baron objective is down, they can focus there because of Dragon, but it's just going to be hard for them to really stop anything top with a split push bottom.
Exactly, and they're just continuing to scale as well. It's the one really big saving grace here for Najin's sword. While a lot of their champions are mid-game focused, any attack damage carry, especially ones like Ezreal, will scale phenomenally with items. And if you compare directly those two AD carries, you only see a 60 minion kill difference, but actually Prey has about double Yellow Pete's gold. They're about to duel. Watch how easy this is for Prey.
As they come into the lane, Yellow Pete is going to jump. No
Yellow Pete runs
arcane
away.
shift follow. Yeah,
Really hard fight.
Complete runaway. That was a huge fight.
That was a lot of damage being dealt on both sides. That rocket jump really destroying the ground.
How much damage?
A little.
Oh.
They didn't actually kill anyone. I can't say it.
We do see Froggen chasing here. The layway's just missing. And you're going to catch one of the best escape artists in the game. If he can hit that bush, it's over, and they know it. Getting that passive move speed. Going back into the fight, however, MacNoon loves to taunt.
Yeah, maybe he'll start dancing as they chase him around too. Maybe got some Phantom Dancers, boost mobility, troll everyone like he did Riot, the Invitationals. Jack knows about that one. But Najin's sword, they're just going to keep the pressure on. This is still exactly what they want to do. CLG will never forfeit a game. They will always stick this one out. I mean, there's that legendary group stage game against M5's BenQ at DreamHack where they were down like 17,000 gold, still won. Always
Crescendo bottom. Crepo with one swipe. Actually, rather, that was Froggen going down. Snoopy coming in here. MacNoon able to try and do something for his team. He may go down here. MacNoon just getting out. Can Crepo make the slice? And he does. Hitting him with Glitter Lance. It will be a trade there, however, with the support. Zona now with 3 kills. They take out Shyvana, and it just looks like they will start to crumble under their own turret. They proved me wrong. They have a team that can dive turrets.
And they got to that point there where they've got so much money and so many items. Watch, finally there with the Heart of Gold, and the Aegis of the Legion is just tanky enough. And again, they've got heals and shields and more heals. It is so hard for them to actually die when they're together as a team. The extra ability power from Baron Buff going to help that as well. The inhibitors now open as well as Prey just stayed at that top lane, dealing more and more damage here. This is looking like a very nice push here for Najin's sword.
Yellow Pete is just forced to watch his structures go down. The inhibitor falls top. They are split pushing the bottom freak, and this is what I just said. It's going to be very hard with the amount of control they have over this game to even stop this right now. The Aegis is out as well. They're starting to help each other in the area of effect zone. So this is going to be very big for them. Trying to initiate on this fight. MacNoon right in the front with Zong. Zong being very aggressive right now as they just wipe out Crepo. As they see the health bars go down, this says we want to initiate that much more. Going right in on Yellow Pete. MacNoon hardly taking any damage. And there the Twisted Advance locking up Yellow Pete. They're all about the Nexus turrets now. The inhibitors are down, but they're just fighting for the fountain steps. They are keeping them on the fountain and not even letting them heal. MacNoon getting hit up by the fountain laser, but making it out. The Hexdrinker keeping him alive after that shard hits him. They drop another inhibitor freak, and right now they are just burning down this base with fury.
And this is so good for them. They can actually keep pushing despite being a little bit low on health. The Baron buff offering health and mana regeneration. 2 members of that team actually have heals. MacNoon is back to half health despite almost dying, taking a lot of damage from that fountain laser just a little while ago. They are ready to push down this mid lane as well. CLG knows that they're actually set up and ready to defend this. They know that they could really not hold against 3 dead inhibitors. But look at the burst. Froggen taking a lot of punishment as punishment for trying to be, nearby to the enemy team, and they're just going to keep pushing forward. Another turret is about to go down.
This is not going to be good. They have a little bit of time to work with here. EU needs to at least hold off for 3 more minutes. At 29:06, that Baron is going to come back up, and they need to dance it out in the best dance they've ever had of their life. Najin is so far ahead right now, 20,000 in gold, and they have 8 turrets to 0. They have a complete shutout game going for them right here, and that momentum from the first game is just carrying over in numbers.
Oh, wow. And Najin's sword finally getting themselves back into the base as well. Just bought a whole bunch of items. Zeke's, Shirelia's, Rabbiden's Death Cap, another Oracle's. Hey, why not? Let's bring 2, sure. They are just completely scaling throughout this game. You can see a 20,000 gold lead. But the one good thing here for Counterlogic Gaming EU is if they can hold, those 2 dead inhibitors are actually going to feed them a lot of gold. You'll notice that Najin's sword are only farming in their jungle. There's not a lot of gold in the jungle, really. There's a lot more gold coming in from those side lanes. You're seeing Yellow Pete finally finishing that Infinity Edge. You've got Wicked on Malphite finally starting to get some items for himself as well. The Sunfire Cape is done. He's still able to initiate. He's still got a lot of base damage. You've got to realize that even though Ezreal is super farmed, he's level 17, he's got a lot of offensive items, he doesn't have a lot of defensive items. Now, unless MacNoon and Song can really put up a lot of support onto him in a burst scenario, he is still burstable and killable if all of CLG.EU is able to collapse. this might still be risky if the fight goes exactly perfectly for CLG.
Now, Freak, when you're this far behind in a game, and so actually the fight may happen here, so we're going to get ready for that as Wicked tries to Unstoppable Force through there and execute onto Prey. If his team doesn't have enough damage to follow up, how do you now start this fight that you came to try and do?
Well, they want the turret on their side if possible. Like, this is an example right there where Prey is in there in minion range. He's going to initiate it. Let's see what they can do.
Unstoppable Force and Wild goes for off. Wicked is the focus that he gets out alive. 2 members drop instantly. Froggen and Snoopy go down. The Requiem comes out for a bit of damage, but it looks like it just tickles Najin. The GGs are coming out as they push the final turrets in the game, and that is going to be Yellowbee heading for his fountain. MacNoon jumps on the fountain and flashes off the fountain. They are finishing the last Nexus turrets now. We do see them just milling about right in front of the fountain. They are just messing with the fountain laser. The damage is going down on the Nexus. Najin going up 2-0 and taking out Counterlogic Hero.
Nice job. Najin Sword playing that one so clinically. This was like a different team from the one we saw in the OGN Champions Summer League right there. They came out with a vengeance, aggression from minute 1. The confidence too, picking early game champions over and over again, saying, you know what, yes, we'll pick Newly to shut down Malphite. We know Malphite's better late game. Nah, they're not even going to get to late game. Karthus, Tristana, no problem. Let's press it now. Let's go for kills now. Let's keep the pressure going. They grabbed a heavy ganking jungler from Maokai who can clear the jungle pretty rapidly and then move on to those lanes and pick up kills. And pick up kills they did. Najin Sword opened up a lot of open